Good morning, everyone. I want to say finally. It's one of those technology moments here in the studio where you either want to have a drink, go for a walk, go back to bed, or throw it all against the wall, right? So my apologies for blipping on briefly at 9 and now coming back at this time. But I have an amazing review for you of the Glass Mat Studio. I did a real brief review, just kind of my first impressions when it showed up in the studio back in early December. But now that I've been using it for almost a full month, I wanted to review it again for you, showcasing some of the ways that I have been using it, as well as what I like about it, what I love about it, and then just a few things that might be what some of you might consider a challenge, okay? So this Glass Mat Studio is going to debut tomorrow, January 4th, as a free gift for those who decide to take advantage of Stampin' Up's Demonstrator Starter Kit. This studio is 3 pieces, you'll see it in just a minute, and it has a $60 value. The Demonstrator Starter Kit has an over $200 value, and in that kit you get $125 in product for $99 with free shipping. So $99 tomorrow will get you this $60 glass studio. It will get you the $125 of product of your choice, all for $99 with free shipping. And you get to pick what you want. You can pick stuff from the new catalog, from online exclusives, from the clearance rack, from the annual catalog. You get to pick. You get to customize it. And some of the frequently questions that I get is, but I don't want to sell. You don't have to. But I don't want to do videos. You don't have to. You can simply choose to be your own best customer. Demonstrators enjoy 20% order discount. We enjoy early access. As you've seen, I've had this for a month. And to be really, really honest, there are no obligations to getting a kit. The only obligation that you incur is if you decide after March that you want to continue to enjoy the perks. I love that my own purchases count towards any minimum, which would be the very basic have to if you decide that you want to continue to enjoy the perks. And there are lots of perks, not just that order discount. So the link is up in the description, janetwakeland.stampinup.net. I'll be here to help you take advantage of this offer. I honestly don't know if this offer is while supplies last. I know that it's extremely popular, so I don't know. And I also don't know, based on the volume that Stampin' Up! Has, when it will become available to customers after February 29th when this Demonstrator Starter Kit happens. So that's all the businessy stuff, right? Let's get that out of the way. Let's clean this off and let's just jump right in. So first, some of the basics. This mat is tempered glass, tempered safety glass. It is 5 millimeters thick. I did put it on my postal scale while I was taking a break from technology out of curiosity. And it's about 4 pounds, 3 ounces. You do not need to keep these safety tips on the edge, and these safety tips do not raise it any higher. I just knew that somebody would come up with a cool idea for them at some point, so I've left them on. But these corners are nice and rounded. They're not going to snag on anything, so you're not going to have issues with worried about it chipping or anything. There's nice rubber feet underneath of it that keeps it real secure on your work surface. In addition, the piece of white that you see underneath the glass is actually sandwiched between the glass. So you don't have to worry about it getting dirty. You don't have to worry about it flaking or peeling off. You don't have to worry about it getting stained or anything like that. I love that it's white, and you'll see why here in just a few minutes. On the mat, you're going to have inch measurements, so imperial measurements on the left and along the bottom from 0 to 13. And then on the top and the right, you're going to have your metric measurements. You're going to see that you have 1/4 inch marks. And then you just, all these teeny tiny little squares. Again, these are 1/4 inch marks, so you're going to be able to really do some great exact work on this mat. This mat is stain resistant. I have actually worked with it with my blends. I was really, really worried about using my blends on this because blends usually is not repelled on a surface. but in this case, it does come right up, so that's really nice. One of the other things is using adhesive on it, and yep, I have my snail. So sometimes you'll be working on a piece of paper and you'll end up getting that adhesive, let me start it this way here for a second, off onto your work surface just a little bit. And what I love is that chamois will just scoop that right up as well, so you can keep on working. Normally when I worked on paper, I kept an embossing buddy handy and just pounced on that adhesive. So that comes right up. You're gonna be able to, you know, work with paint on it. You're gonna be able to cut on it, and I'll show you that in 1 second. You can heat emboss on it. At first I was a little worried about heat embossing, even though it's heat resistant. Of course, it can still get warm if you're doing 20, 30, 40 things and have that heat on it consistently. But as you know, casually crafting here in the studio where I'm making 1 or 2 at a time, I've definitely decided that I need, as soon as Stampin' Up! Makes these available, I need like 3 or 4 in my studio. I need one at all of my different stations where I work in my studio, and I definitely need one in my embossing station. And the reason why, this is so flat. I get amazing impressions with my photopolymer as well as with my cling mount stamps on this surface. And because it's glass, any of that loose little powder or glitter, this chamois that comes with it is scooping it all right up. So I definitely have decided I'm a huge fan of embossing with it. Again, I've been carrying it around to my different stations, but I absolutely love that, okay, that I can clean it up really, really easily. So it is called the Glass Mat Studio. It does ignore the staining. Over time, it will stain. But it does come with this amazing chamois, and I'm trying to remember, the chamois is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, so it is a square. It's thin. It wets up really, really nice. And as long as you wring it so that the water coming out is clear, it's great to use. And then the other part of this studio is this silicone mat here. Now this will also stain because it's white, so some of your darker purples and reds may stain this. But this is great. Once it's on this mat, I mean, I'm shaking the whole table. This is not moving. So you have this little grid piece here that you could actually put, you know, an ink pad down in so it's not sliding around on your glass here. You can work with this to the side. Some of the other ways that I use this grid here is if I'm working with my water painters or my the little blenders or any other type of brush, I can have this a little wet, and I can use this to kind of really help get the bristles clean because of the little grid mark on it. So I've been using it a lot like that. You have 5 different little wells here, and you can put re-inker in them. If you're into water painting, you can put your paints or the re-inkers to water paint with. I've also been using this larger one here, just again also for water. If I'm wanting to dip, I can just fill it a little bit with water, and I have water then that I can pick up for things that I'm doing. Stampin' Up! Designed this. Stampin' Up! Has a product called Ink Spots. They sell 8 pre-inked ones, and then they have uninked ones. These are fun to work with. They're 1 inch by 1 inch raised, and these were designed to hold 4 of them, so that works great. I usually don't keep this on my work surface. I usually keep it right beside my work surface and have it right here to work with. And that's one of the things that I like. I know that there are other glass mats on the market, but a lot of times some of the extras are incorporated into that glass mat, making it bigger than many people's work surface is. And if I'm not needing this, I can put this away, so I have that much more space around it. Some other things that I like about this mat is the fact that it does have that, it's raised probably just slightly more than 1/4 inch, and actually we could use the ruler that I happen to have out here. So yeah, maybe just about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more. So things butt up against it. They don't actually start to work their way into that center space. We all have that experience when you're crafting and you start out with this nice clean desk, and before you're done, everything's about right here, okay? Give me a smiley face if you know what I'm talking about. And so with this mat, I find that that doesn't happen because things are here at the edge. I actually physically have to pick them up and move them to fill my surface with that. A couple of the concerns that people may have If you're somebody who does videos and wants to work with this, you are going to need to work with the lighting in your studio. And also, depending on the lighting in your crafting surface, you may need to adjust it so it's straight top down. And I had to adjust them. I have this little one mark right here, but on my crafting surface, all my lights are directly overhead. I have an OT light that's on a C-clamp that swings out over, and so it's straight down. So I haven't had any issue with it being reflective. So that may be one of the issues. Something else that people have asked about, because evidently some of the glass mats out on the market are magnetic. Well, I made mine magnetic. Okay, could you hear that click? So I made mine magnetic, and I'll link this little one special thing for you. So that is just a magnetic board. So I don't always have to have it magnetic if I don't want it, but it was perfectly sized. It fits between the feet and it fits side to side. And now I can make mine magnetic if I want to use magnets to hold a project that I'm working on in place. So I turned mine, like I said, into a magnetic if I want it. But another benefit that I learned as I worked with our new masks that are debuting is just how great washi tape is on this surface. Again, sometimes with paper, depending on the quality of the paper, even though something is supposed to pick up, you know, your masking tape, your painter's tape, your washi, sometimes you're still going to pull up some of those fibers. That paper is going to separate on you just a little bit. I love that the washi just comes right up. And also because it comes right up, it's definitely that much more reusable. You're going to find yourself using that washi over and over again. So that works out really nice. So I'm going to keep going here for just a second. And if you have questions, make sure you put them in the comments, and I'm going to be looking for them as we go. So I mentioned already some of the things that I do like, and I'm just going to pat this ink down on this surface. And I'm going to pat this one down here for just a second. Because I have white underneath of this mat, I'm going to be able to see my colors that much more clearly. This is our bubble bath and this is our fresh freesia, and they show up really, really well, okay? So I like having that white paper. That was a benefit that I wasn't able to express earlier on, but now that I've played with it, especially, you know, as I pull my, you know, my blending brushes out and work on it. The other thing is that when you're working, and I'm just going to pull this piece of paper in, you know, for example, with a blending brush and you're blending, a lot of times we tap off to the side and then go to our paper. What's nice is by tapping off onto this glass surface, I can now pick this ink up. So I'm not using as much out of my ink pad, okay, stretching the ink that's in those pads and having to refill them less. So, you know, I can pick up my colors, and I'm going to get a much truer color working off the glass than I am working off paper or anything like that. So, you know, picking the color back up off the glass mat is definitely another benefit that I'm really enjoying. So let me do this for a second. Before I show you a couple more things right on the mat, like cutting and things, while I have this in my hand, the chamois, one of the things that I saw a big discussion on the other day was how do you store them? Well, when you're all done crafting for the night, you know, everything's around this mat, right? Because this little lip is keeping it off the mat. So one of the best options is simply to take this, rinse it out, get it all clean, and then just lay it flat like that until you're ready to come back to the surface and start crafting again, okay? And you're going to notice, you're going to decide that you want this on your surface all the time. There's absolutely no reason to take this off of your desk to do more crafting unless you're working on something that's totally like extends beyond this mat. There's no reason to do that. So one of the simplest ways to store this mat is to clean it, lay it out nice and flat, and you're good to go. For myself personally, what I did is I have this little stand that we used as a place card holder for my daughter's wedding many, many years ago. And I punched a hole in here. And let me see if I can find, there it is, right here in front of my face. I have just one of these loose leaf rings. And when I'm done crafting, I rinse it all out. And then I close this, and now it's going to be contrary. There we go. And I literally just hang it right beside it, and that just gives me there. Also, it's just kind of helps it dry a little nicer, and it hasn't pulled or anything like that. Originally, I wasn't using the ring. I was simply putting it in here, but this does have some teeth mark on it, so I wanted to protect the mat. But that's just how I'm personally storing it. But if I wasn't doing that, the way I would store it is just down like that. Some people are folding it and storing it in a clear mount stamp case. When I work and I'm crafting, I have my chamois that's thick and helping me clean the stamps. And then I have this just kind of sitting here ready to be used. And the one thing I've brought to my desk and I have handy all the time now is this water spritzer. And if I need this dampened up a little bit as I'm working, I can just spritz. I've got that metal case and I can keep just working away, okay? Last time I showed you these cases, people asked if they were available, if that was something you could get through Stampin' Up, and absolutely you can. You can get 4 of them in a set for $9, and the code for that is 119105. So 119105, and you can get 9 of them, or 4 of them for $9. So that was my little note that I had up here for you guys. So let me set this aside, and let's do a little cutting. That was the one thing that everybody was really concerned about, was cutting and scratching the surface. And I will tell you that was my #1 concern, followed secondly by it getting really hot, even though it said it was heat resistance after extensive embossing with the heat tool. Put the heat tool one to rest, and now I'm gonna put this one to rest for you. I have 2 different types of cutters. This is a perforating cutter, so it will make a perforated line. It is one of the adapters you have for the U-Pick tool. And then I have a craft blade, a hobby blade on here, okay? And let's just grab a ruler. And we are going to just roll this right along. And no, I didn't push it hard enough. But let's do it one more time, Janet. Let's get this in tight. There we go. You can hear the crunch that time. We're just gonna fill it, and we've perforated that paper. It's gonna pull apart. And there's no scratches, no marks. You can't feel anything on it. And then the X-Acto blade, we're gonna take and go over that with it as well. And I wish all of you were here in the studio because I know it's really hard to see. But again, there's not a single nick, mark, or scratch with that hobby blade. So I feel very confident using these hobby blades and these cutting tools. I'm not sure if I would ever use any type of other sharper type knife here in the studio. So if that's a concern, and there's a special type of knife that you think is strong enough to cut through tempered glass, then I would find a small piece of tempered glass and try that out first with the blade if you're still concerned about this cutting and having some issues. Some other fun things with this cutter is working, for example, with some of your re-inkers right on the mat. So let's just do this. If some of you are having a little bit of issues with your brayers, for example, because a lot of times when you work with a brayer, it's real easy to catch lines from all 4 sides of that, okay? And again, this isn't always as wide as whatever size brayer you're working with. And so you can always put just re-inker down on your glass mat. And now I'm just gonna pull it and start to get ink the whole way around on my brayer, okay? And then I can just take it and run it over my paper, okay? So, and that's a bad example, but you're gonna just be able to work with your re-inkers on here. You're gonna be able to do all kinds of other stuff with spritzing and playing. I love that I actually don't have to have my table full of all kinds of other extras and things like that. So, oh, I know what happened. So the ink's not real smooth on here. So I need the ink to be smoother lined out. So that's my problem. I was trying to figure out multitasking in my head why that didn't look so good on cardstock, but you can see the light and dark. But practice will make perfect, and we'll get that working really good on there. Of course, also, you know, as you're working and you're stenciling, you're going to go ahead and you're going to start to maybe pick up some ink on the side. And then I just simply pick up my rag and I just wipe off whatever it was that I was working on. Once the rag gets really kind of crummy during a work session, and I don't usually keep this hanging and banging around, so let's take that off. That's just for late night storage. Then you can go ahead, if you notice that it's not picking up the colors anymore, then you can re-wet it. When I first got it, I felt like I had to use rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer to get all of the sticky stuff off of it, but just a good rub. I know that might be like fingernails on the blackboard sound. I have stopped using rubbing alcohol and haven't needed it to get any of that extra adhesive off or whatever. But if for some reason you have something that's really sticky on there that's not coming up, hand sanitizer takes it off like that. I mean, it works amazing. Makes me a little worried about what it's doing to my hands, but besides killing germs, that's a good part of it. But it just really will pull it up if something's really, really sticky for you. So I'm just trying to think if there's other things. Oh, the one thing that I did invest in, because this is a glass mat and I want to see, and I don't know why I didn't do this just in regular crafting anyway, is I bought myself a clear ruler so that when I'm working with, you know, anything, I can see both through here onto here, and then that works great, is to have that going through the whole way. So let me go through and scroll real quick and just see if there's any questions at all. If you are watching this on replay, don't hesitate to ask your questions as well. We will go ahead and answer them for you. We, as if I've got a helper here. It's just me, myself, and I. So there's the three me's that are going to help you. But again, the Glass Mat Studio is this beautiful mat here, okay? And you don't need to save these. You're going to have your chamois that you're going to be able to, and this is just, oh, it works so well, guys. I love this chamois. I wish they sold just these. I would buy a ton of these. I love it. I don't know why I'd need a ton, but one or two would be kind of nice. And it has this silicone mat, and you're going to find lots and lots of uses for it. If taking advantage of Stampin' Up's Demonstrator Starter Kit beginning tomorrow and getting this for free, this $60 value with the kit is not something that's of interest for you, then you can wait and I will let you know when these become available to the public, hopefully sometime in March. I know all of you have also been seeing me use it in different videos. It's pretty much been on the table ever since it arrived in December. And there's probably some things I did with it, not even thinking about it when I was working on it. And so kind of those hidden tips that are there. I will tell you one thing, as it is with any new product, whether it's the die cutting machine, whether it's when you get a heat tool and you learn how to emboss, the more you use something, the more you use it. It becomes part of your crafting routine. It becomes part of your nature. So I found for me, taking this out, putting it on my craft surface, making a point of taking it with me when I went from where I really create. This is a surface I have set up for doing videos, but when I'm at my actual crafting spot and when I'm at my embossing spot, and making a point all month of using this, I realized just how indispensable it is and what I've been missing out on by not having this. It's just been such a joy to work with. It's been wonderful. Like when you're, I mean, even something as silly as when you're creasing your paper and you have this nice firm surface to give you that crisp edge. So when you're doing folds and creases and you're doing it against this here, it's really, really nice. And you can hear it just a little bit, but that's about the only time it really makes noise. That was my third concern I had, was with the sound of it, with it being loud. Some of you may have a ring that, you know, you might hear, or maybe you have bracelets that'll ding it. But for me, the only real noise that I found was when I was scoring it. So that would be the third concern for them. Some of you I know may be very sound sensitive, but it's not scratching, it's not banging or anything like that. But that would have been my third concern. So one last check before I turn you loose and let me see if there's any others. Okay. So again, if this is something you'd like for free, the link to join my team beginning tomorrow is up in the description. I'm also going to be available to answer any and all of your questions. And of course, being a member of my team of remarkable stampers has lots of perks and privileges and special things. I've been doing this for 27 years. And everybody is welcome on my team, even if you're just buying this to never do anything again. I am more than welcome, ready to welcome you, even if it's just for a month or two, and maybe it's a year, maybe it's 27 years like crazy old me. So stay tuned for a video tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that everything goes off without a hitch tomorrow. Ordering begins after midnight Mountain Time for us here in the US, guys. So if there's anything wonky with ordering, I'll post it for you tonight. But I know for those of you that are scooping this up, you are going to be really, really satisfied with this. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I'm looking in the screen and I see this open spot and you've already seen it. It's this section right here. I have fallen in love with this section for several reasons. One, you've seen this throughout the month. I can leave little notes to myself. As I'm designing a project and I'm cutting and scoring, I can just kind of write the measurements down that I've come up with. I can have them all right here to work on. The other thing is that we have stamp sets that are two-step stamps, or sometimes you're working on a project where you're taking the stamp on and off the block. Maybe you only own a single size C or a single size D block. And so you're taking stamps on and off that block, but you're reusing them very quickly. When I take a stamp off a block, I put it over here in this section and it sticks really, really nice. It's not going anywhere, whether it's the cling mount or the photopolymer. So if I'm interchanging real quick between blocks or I'm doing two-step stamping or something like that, I can put those stamps down over in here. So between leaving notes for myself, just real quickly jotting numbers down that I'm doing measurements on or that I need to remember. You know, I'm making a box and it's like, okay, score at, 2, 4, 6, 8. So if I need that little, reminder, I can have it here and I'm not always searching for a little piece of paper or something, or whether it's putting stamps here as I interchange them off the block. This section here, I think has become probably next to the chamois, one of my favorite parts of this map. And then I just splurged. I went out and bought some fine tip dry erase markers, but you could use your Stampin' Write markers the same way, your blends, whatever. But it was an excuse to buy a whole bunch of pretty color dry erase markers, and I got some with the eraser on the end. Just, I needed an Amazon fix after all the shipments during the month of December, to be honest. So you don't have to use a dry erase, but it gave me a chance to do a little post-Christmas shopping. Again, any more questions, guys, put them in there and I'll be looking for them to answer them for you. Questions about being a demonstrator, I would love to answer them for you guys. Have an amazing day and we will see you back here tomorrow. We'll take a tour of the catalog, look at some of the more products up close and personal. Have an awesome day, guys.